What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and in today's video we have a little bit of cool stuff going on in maintenance that you guys have been looking forward to, and then we have something I have no idea what it is, but it spells promise for the game, I think, and then we're going to take a little bit of a sneak peek at the data mine version of Zeno. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to look into is the patch notes here for version 3.5.5. And there's a lot of things that have changed with this patch update, so I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. But the first thing you see here is something we had no idea was coming, which is the Summon Coin Exchange Store coming soon. So if we go down to the shop, it's going to be right next to the item exchange, and it looks like little summon coins with S's on them. Exchange shop, trade summon coins for items. So if you click on it, there's no details, we know nothing else about it. It just says there are no summon coin exchanges available at the moment. Keep your eyes peeled for more summon coin exchange events yet to come. So I'm just going to give you what I think this may be. So it could be really good for the game. It could just be barely good for the game. I don't think it's a negative because they're just giving you more stuff for summoning. So it's always a positive in my opinion. But it can either be really great or just kind of like, whatever. So the fact that it says trade summon coins for items, it doesn't say for units. So I'm not thinking units can be in there, so that's the first thing I want to say. But you know what can be in there, and that would be the top choice, would be unit prisms. Because those are items in the games, and that's a way to give us back the ability to get units and make them 7-star. So I do believe that is a possibility here, which would be incredible to have even more of a safety net with the step-up summons, and then now we have the summon coin exchange items. You know, it may be very similar to the Trust Coin item shop, where you're going to have like UOCs, maybe guaranteed 5-star tickets, some prisms, some king pots. You can see that I've gone in here to spin a little bit to maximize some of my units. Now that's the way it could be. I think that would be the absolute best way. The best way it would be possible would be to have prisms for on-banner units in that shop every time a banner comes out. Can you imagine? I don't know how many times you would have to summon or how many coins you would have to get, but to be able to exchange them for on-banner prisms would help us all make 7 stars even more, you know, it makes it easier to obtain them, and then you also have to be summoning to get them, so you're either spending lapis, money, tickets. I don't know how you're getting these summon tickets. I hope they're not locked behind just step-ups. I hope they're just any 5k, any summons you do. You get a certain amount of summon coins, even tickets, even dailies. I think they should give a certain amount of coins just to help you build it up slowly, and that's the next point I wanted to make. Let's say you summon a lot and you don't end up needing your summon coins for that specific banner. I'm hoping they are a universal currency, so that you can save up and just be waiting for the next unit you may want a 7-star, etc. I don't know what kind of prisms they're going to put on there. I don't know if they are putting prisms on there. The worst scenario I see is they are only available on step-ups. They are only, like, maybe that you see purple ones here, but there are green ones for like certain banners and purple ones for others, and they keep making them different, so you can only use them, you know, at this current time that you're on that banner, and there aren't any prisms in there. There are just items. That's the worst case scenario, but still, it's giving something back to the player for their money or their lapis spent, which is still a good thing. I'm very excited to see what they put on here, and that was a nice surprise. Had no idea that was going to be happening. So moving on from that, which let me know in the comments below what you guys think it's going to be, because it sounds incredible. There was a lot more that changed with version 3.5.5. The 5-star unit pedestal color updated. That's already been in the game, so that's when you see the 5-star, you know, be that nice pink looking pedestal, which I actually like a lot. Change job types to unit type icons. We've seen that too, where like now it has a sword or a down arrow, etc., instead of being job boy or job whatever. That really didn't fit the character sometimes anyway. And then they said added parameter quests, which has already happened as well. Bug fixes, fixed issue where STMR value of 100% was shown as 0%. I remember a lot of you guys were running into that problem. That has been fixed. And I am going to test this right now. Fixed treasure chest animation. I am on the Amazon version of the app, but that is closely tied to the Android version. This version of the app still had that problem. Let's go try it right now. We're going to go into the, I guess, Zeno Gear summon. We're going to summon right here. I do believe this shows a treasure chest, right? Yes, and it is fixed, guys. The treasure chest is finally fixed. Let me know on Android. Now, I'm only going to be able to confirm for Amazon. It's been fixed for iOS for a while, but hey, Woo! It's been fixed. It's been changed. It is good stuff for our game. As always, this update's been pretty solid. And one last thing I want to point out is there is the new summon update, and I'm not going to be able to summon here to show you guys it, but essentially there's a new summon animation update to summoning. So you know in the past where you would click a crystal, it would show the crystal come down, you would click it, and it would either turn from yellow to rainbow, and then you click it and show a bunch of crystals, and you would just go all the way through. Well, now, each of those crystals could break and change. So, like, when you see all blues, you're like, that used to be, like, the worst feeling. But now it has a chance for that blue to turn yellow, and that yellow to turn to rainbow in the middle of summoning. Each individual crystal is checked that way to add a little bit more suspense and happiness and hype to a summon. Now, it doesn't change any of the rates. It doesn't change anything. It's all predetermined like it was before. But I like this change because it makes you feel less bad if you do end up seeing all blues. Now, they all could still be blues, but I think it adds a little bit more suspense, a little bit more fun. Anything like that, I think, is welcome in the game. Of course, on my streams, I'm going to love it because, hey, it could happen. You could just sit there and be like, it's all blues. And it used to be like you'd skip it. You'd immediately click it and go all the way through. But now it's kind of cool to watch it go through. Maybe it changes and makes a little bit more of a smile on your face. That seems pretty cool. Other than that, guys, there isn't really much to talk about in the game that's been added so far. That was it right there that I wanted to discuss. The next part, we're just going to look over Zeno. We're not, again, this is all data mine data. It's possible to change right before the patch goes out. That's why I'm not doing my banner review for Zeno and Axstar. What I'm going to instead do is we're just going to look over the unit as it is now. It is subject to change as always, and just give my thoughts on it just in case. It's just cool to look at. All right, guys, here we are on the wiki page for Zeno of the Beta Star. I know I literally just said this, but I want to say it again. Details are subject to change, right? I don't know. This guy seems pretty crazy if his numbers aren't tuned. I'm not saying out of this world insane, but he's really strong, and you never know anymore. So this is how I'm going to do it from now on. I'm just going to give a little sneak peek at the data mine, and then Fridays after the banner releases, I will release my thoughts on the banner, okay? For true. So you can take this for what it's worth. Zeno of the Beta Star is going to be a 5-star base going up to 7-star true dual wielder, and he's going to be bringing the true dual wield meta up to speed with the true double hand meta, and I'll have a whole video discussing all about that, and I'll probably explain it a little bit more in the Zeno of the Beta Star banner review once we get the full numbers. Moving on, we have a TMR, which is Obsidian Helm. That's going to be great. I think it's a great helmet. We've been over that. We're not going to go over that too much. Shearing Ember, same thing. One of the things I do want to point out that people were saying was that neither one of his TMRs or STMRs had any true dual wield percentage on them, and everybody thought that was kind of weird, right? Because the one problem true dual wielders for it being out so early before CG Lightning was, CG Lightning brought a materia that was similar to Buster style that was 100% true dual wield that you could equip, and that way you could hit that 200%, right? On a unit that could go up to 200% true dual wield. It's locked at 100% unless the unit can go to 200%. Later on, they just let everybody go to 200% true dual wield, but not yet. So we were all thinking, what's up with that? He's not going to be as strong as what he could be because we don't have the equipment in Global right now to really push that 200% and go ham. Well, if we go down to these passives that he has, we're going to skip over his abilities for a minute. He is showing right now, again, this is data mine information. He is showing 100% here, 100% dual wield, upcrease, so he has 100% already, so he's hitting the max that's in Global for other units right off the bat, and then he's also getting this chain modifier cap up to 6 times. That is the difference between true double hand and true dual wield, and then true dual wield meta, like becoming the true dual wield meta, essentially, is that instead of being capped at a 4 times chain cap, you're going up to a 6 times, which kind of equals out what a true double hander would have when they have the weapon variants. Remember, we always talk about that weapon variants adding weapon damage and added damage to your damage calculation. This kind of equals that out in most cases, and sometimes does more or equal. One of the things I do want to point out down here is he has his TMR equipped, which, like I said, is a great helmet, great attack stat on it. Increased attack by 100% when dual wielding. So he has innate 200% true dual wield. That's why it's making me think there might be some changes. Now, I was in Hal's stream and they were all saying, he might not be that good because we don't have the equipment. I was like, yeah, until they release him with 200% true dual wield innately. So is this real? Like that's, and then now, and since they've changed that since they did that Easter thing, it makes it very hard to believe that any of these numbers are correct until the banner comes out. I think it's tough. But hey, this seems kind of insane right here. The other things I want to point out in his kit is he does have the ability. If we look over this, he has Finger Snap, which is amazing. He has the ability to Decrease fire resist by 100% for 5 turns, and that's going to be an absolute mirror of equity chain, which is great. I just want to point out some of his, his abilities as kind of like a support, kind of like what his abilities can do support-wise. He can add fire element to his physical attacks. He has a fire imbue that he can do. He actually has 2 of them. He has another one down here, so if you want to be using Divine Runation Chaining to do that, or you would like to just go ahead and go with Absolute Mirror of Equity, you could do that as well. They both pretty much do the same thing. One does a little bit more damage, and they're both AoE, which is great. That's an AoE option for you if you need it with this kit. But the thing about this is, when you are true dual wielding or you're dual wielding, most of the time you're going to be able to put a weapon in the other hand that has the element that you would like to use, right? So I think in a lot of builds, maybe his best build, you have to use 2 non-elemental weapons to get really strong and really good, and you're going to have to use this ability, and that's fine if you do. But if you end up being able to fit fire into his other hand, or another element, maybe you want to use somebody else's Imperil, and you can just throw another element into his hand. That's one of the ways true dual wield is like more positive than true double hand, is because you have that option. You have 2 weapons. As long as you can fit an element in there, you're good to go, right? So that's going to be great. So you might be skipping over these, but it's awesome to have that as an option. Next up, we have the ability here where we can cast this. It's another Absolute Mirror of Equity Chain. It's doing some damage, and we'll talk about the increased modifiers in a minute. Restore HP by 3,000 and MP by 100 to caster. He has a big MP regen in his kit already without having some kind of outside reason on doing that, and it's doing damage. So you're chaining, you're getting LB crystals, you're getting your summoning orbs, and then you're also able to put your HP back up or your MP back up. I think more people are going to use it for MP in my opinion. That's incredible, and it also has this increase to damage modifier, which we'll get into in a little bit. This one right here, he increases attack by 200% for 5 turns to the caster. I'm unsure of why this is on here, because he has a passive if we look down. Again, we're not doing a banner review, we're just looking over his abilities. Getting a little bit hype, but being careful because the numbers could change. You can see that he auto-cast, I guess it's more for a 6-star, because at 7-star he gets fired up every turn. He casts every turn. Every turn he casts this. Fired up, increase attack by 200%. So he has a 200% buff all the time. It doesn't matter if you buff him, if something happens, he's buffing himself by 200% all the time. If he gets, dispelled, hey, guess what, next turn, 200%. He will always have that up. So I think it's more of, that is a 6-star ability, correct? Yes, that is more so if you want to buff him up with a 6-star ability, you can. Now, a 6-star is obviously not going to be as strong as a 7-star meta, but a 6-star is definitely useful, because it can chain with all these different families that you're showing, and it's somewhat powerful. Now, it's not going to be insanely powerful, but he does have a lot of the things in his kit that he needs in his 6-star. The big damage dealing ability is going to be locked behind 7-star along with its cooldown abilities, but that's to be expected. Moving on down, we do get the ability to dual cast some of these abilities, and I think the reason that is important, as we know when you true dual wield, if you dual cast, it's not casting those abilities 4 times, because when you dual wield, a lot of people forget it casts physical abilities twice. It's not going to be casting them 4 times, but you are going to have the ability to maybe mix and match, right? So you can decrease the fire resist if you'd like to, and then go down and add fire resist to your abilities, even though you're dual wielding, right? So that is good to have that option, because we're not going to be true double hand building him, but with true dual wield, this lets you mix and match, use the increase the modifiers you may need, take his abilities and put them together in a way that you need to, instead of just casting one ability each turn twice, the same ability twice, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. Next up, he has an ability, which I love, this little glow around this katana. It's going to be Aureole Ray chaining. I don't see you using this ability a lot, unless maybe you're just using his 6-star version. This could possibly be your go-to damage dealing ability, but it's just there as an option if you need to chain with that, which is great, but not going to be his go-to. And then his last 6-star thing, which I think is pretty cool, Bolting Strike, the BS chaining family that's brought to global exclusively with Esther, Sylvie, and now we see it in Zeno. He has the option to do that, and it has a little increased LB along with it, which is cool. Looking at his 7-star abilities, we can see that he increases attack by 250% for 10 turns when he casts this. So I do believe you're going to be casting this on turn 1 all the time with this unit. It's a 10-turn cooldown, but everything he does lasts for 10 turns, so this thing is just, you cast it. The reason being is it increases the modifiers to everything. So now we're going to talk about it. I did not mean to click that. My apologies. Now we are going to be talking about these increased the modifiers. So, starting with Axstar, essentially, that's when it's going to be like the big time. Axstar is going to work similar to this, where you're going to be using abilities that put modifiers on other abilities. You have some kind of rotation where you want to keep all of these up and then just hit with that big ability over and over with those increased modifiers. If we look throughout his kit, we do have a few, right? If we look here, we have one that does physical damage, recovers some MP. That's 100 MP to caster right there. Again, he's not going to have MP problems, guys. And he's going to increase the modifier for all of these abilities by 0.25 times. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does add up. Obviously, more damage. And then the Obliterating Mirror of Equity's Roar is going to be his big damage dealing ability. So as long as you see that, you're going to be happy about using that to add a modifier to it. Moving on down, we see another one down here. This is the one where you get 3,000 HP and 100 MP to caster. You have another increased modifier, which is 0.25 times for 5 turns. Cannot be dispelled. It will be there for 5 turns, okay, which is great. So it looks like you're not going to have to recast it for 5 turns. Moving on down, we do see that we have some more, but they don't start again until we get into the cooldown abilities. We can see that we get an increased modifier of 1.5 times, or excuse me, 1 times using this ability we were just talking about. So you do want to use that before you start spamming all his abilities, because even if you have to use these other abilities in a certain order to get the Obliterating Mirror of Equity's Roar, a long name, built all the way up, you know, this is a good start, right? You have to use it. All the other abilities get boosted, or a lot of his other abilities get boosted, and he gets 250% attack, and it can be, if we filter here, it can be dual casted. So you can start your whole thing that you want to be doing there. Moving on down, we do have a turn 4 CD ability that you guys are going to be wanting to use. It does some very nice damage. You know, it gets some of its True Mirror of Equity. It does get buffed by a lot of these modifiers. And on top of that, it is also going to buff everything else by 1.5 times and enable triple blade arts, which is going to be great because you can still triple cast with this true dual wield unit. There's no reason why you can't. You're just not going to get the benefits of the MP because when you dual wield something and it casts it twice, it only uses 1 MP cost. When you triple cast something, it's going to be triple that MP cost, so you're going to lose out on that. Same thing when you dual cast, you're going to have to pay both costs there. Moving on down, we have his Big Daddy ability, and with all of the multipliers, I'm going to tell you what it equals out to. It's going to be Absolute Mirror of Equity. You can see a lot of these are Absolute Mirror of Equity, and it makes sense. That should be what he's chaining with mainly. You should have these other options for other things. Physical damage 1 times with ignore defense 50% to 1 enemy. Physical damage 4 times with consecutive increases up to 10 times max to all enemies. So this is his Big Daddy chaining ability. As you can see, it is going to be the chain capping itself off, so it's going to have that finisher move at the end. One of the things I want to point out is this 50% isn't so when we ignore defense 50%, we've seen it used on some things in the game now with the Golem trial, the Dark Golem Shiva trial, which is cool. But normally when we talk about damage calculations, it just doubles whatever modifiers there. When adding all these modifiers together, and we put them in this 1 times here, you actually still double that. You add all these modifier fixes together, put them here, and then double it because of the 50%. So that's going to be really great for you guys. It's going to do a lot of damage. We'll calculate that up in a minute, but this ability right here seems absolutely insane for the modifiers, and I'll show you here in a minute. Moving on through his passives that he gets that we're seeing, enables dual wielding of one-handed weapons, increases attack 50% when equipped with a katana, so you want to have a katana in his hand, has MP regeneration, auto-cast protection of the orders. Moving on down, mitigate damage taken, so he's going to take a little bit less damage from magic and physical, which is cool, and have recover MP, which is great, but his abilities give him like 100 MP, so especially since he's a true dual wielder, he may, you know, he may be okay on MP. Maybe. He has increases to attack. Anything crazy here? Blind, paralyze, petrify. He just needs confused, baby. He just needs confused resist and he's good to go. Increase attacks and defense and all of that. We've talked about this already. He has another katana mastery, so that's 80% in a katana mastery. He has the modifier put up on his chaining modifiers for the true dual wield, or people are calling it like master dual wield, MDW. This is what this is right here. When the cap goes up, people like to call it master dual wield or something like that. And then he gets true dual wield 100%. If you put his TMR on him, which you will be, he maxes out the true dual wield percentage here. He also has a chance to counter magical or physical attacks with seeing red. If that counters, it's a 65 break to attack and defense for 3 turns to all enemies. That could be a lifesaver. I doubt it's going to be used that much, but it's cool. Fired up, again, is the ability that just boosts his attack by 200% every turn. So he's always going to have that. Soul of Ashes increases attack and defense by 30% when equipped with katana. Now we're really hitting that point you need in one of your 2 hands of katana. Shouldn't be that hard, though. And then increases his LB gauge fill rate by 50%, which is great because we do want to be using his LB. It's actually phenomenal. Then he has an increase in spirit by 20%. He can cast Fire Raja if you want. Don't really worry about that. Looking down at his LB, look at this thing maxed out. So it's going to hit 14 times. It costs 36, which isn't cheap, but hey, not a lot of the LBs are cheap these days. Physical damage 14.9 times with ignore defense 50%. So it's essentially 30%, 30 times multiplier. 14.9, 15, whatever. 30 times multiplier. That is huge. That is massive damage. Increase modifier 3 times for 4 turns to absolute Mirror of Equity. And then also obliterating Mirror of Equity's Roar, which is his big damage dealing ability. That is 3 times modifier added to it, which we'll go to the calculation in a minute. This is huge. Increase modifier 1.5 times for 4 turns. Can't be dispelled to true Mirror of Equity, which is going to be other abilities that he can use, obviously. So if you have all of his abilities there to go, use all the modifiers together, this ability hitting is going to be, the finishing ability is going to be 14 times that one hit after you add all the modifiers together, at least for my early gorilla math calculations. I've only looked at this thing 3 times. 14 times. So his finishing hit's going to hit 14. This physical damage, once you build it up, is going to be a 16 times multiplier. Once you get these consecutive matches up, you do all of the things I've shown you where you can put the modifier up, you're going to get up to 16 times. So he's going to be 16 times changing and then finish with a 14 times modifier. It seems nuts to me. We're going to have to do the damage calculations, but remember, before you summon, please, 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 look back to the wiki, look back to Reddit, look for other videos to state that these are, in fact, the numbers after the banner comes out. The patch is already out, which is why I don't agree with them changing it. It's fine, whatever. But we'll have to wait and see, because it actually seems like this unit's going to be insane, because he does not have to have any equipment. You know, similar to true double hand units, right? You have to have all this equipment, and it's really good equipment. It's become really good, but all this equipment dedicated to, you know, putting up true double hand or putting up true dual wield. He has the max already in his kit. Besides, the only thing you have to put on his helmet, which is giving him like 45 attack, right, or 42, something like that. Hold on, sorry, 42 attack. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's got Mind Ablaze on there too, giving you some LB fill rate 50%, which he wants because we want to cast that. Some more MP, which I don't think MP will be a problem for him. And then all of his other things can go to killer abilities, other ways to raise his attack as high as possible. When you do true dual wield, you have 2 weapons that have gone through item world, giving you even more options. With true double hand, you only have 1 that has those item world changes. 2 has true dual wield. I don't know how powerful this man's going to be, because I don't want to say before we go in, but he definitely seems, he's definitely up to par with the new meta, at least, as long as they don't nerf him down to the ground. We'll see what happens, or change him into the ground. Nerf's not a good word. They can still make changes, but I'm very excited about him, and I think you should be too. And again, guys, take it with a grain of salt. We'll be coming back to Zeno tomorrow for our official banner review, where I go over Axstar and Zeno, and I'll try to have their kits, their rotation ready for you guys by then. There's going to be a lot of calculation and trying to figure it out, because you got to keep each of those modifiers up. So it's going to be actually a lot to think about. These units are complicated in a way, but not so complicated. They're a lot more complicated than what Esther would be, for example, but Esther's still going to be able to dish out the damage. I'm just happy that we're moving forward in Global to be a bit different. Global is changing the power creep in a way that's a little bit different. Obviously, we hit that big power creep, and now it looks like I'm really hoping we just have options. We do a little bit of this, and we just have options. Whatever you guys want to use, it's going to be great. Trials, we have to see what the next step in trial, if we do get a global exclusive trial, you know, is on. Like, I don't think they're going to make something so hard that Axstar still isn't a great damage dealing option. I don't think so, but you never know. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how you feel about Zeno, and if you think they're going to do a little bit of pre-banner changes, and then subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video.